Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nde özellikle ırkçılık karşıtı çalışmalarıyla dikkat çeken kongre üyesi Yvette Clarke, Brooklyn'de Türk toplumuyla bir araya geldi. Bölgede yaşayan Türk-Amerikan toplumu üyeleri yemek öncesi Clarke'a Türkiye'den gelen el yapımı hediyeler verdi. Clarke, Task TV mikrofonlarına özel açıklamalar yaptı ve Türk toplumuna teşekkürlerini sundu.
Nationwide Turkish American channel.
Yes.
They have 2 million views every month. They just want me to ask a few questions.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And, so the first question is, I found out there are 85,000 constituents, the Turkish Americans in the district, in Brooklyn, sorry, not in the district. 85,000 Turkish Americans. Most of the leaders here from the non-profits representing those different Turkish Americans, different neighborhoods. We know you love us and we love you, and you showed us many times and participated in many events. What would you like to say to our newly opened channel? It's been operating for 1 year almost, televising all the nationwide Turkish Americans. And what would you like to say?
Well, let me first of all thank Barack for gathering us all here today in Brooklyn. We are at Rocco Cafe, as you can see. And it was a wonderful evening, just interacting with my constituents, my supporters from the Turkish American community here in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, many of whom live in the 9th Congressional District of New York. And this evening we spoke about our concerns for our businesses that were destroyed, in many cases just damaged heavily by the storm that came into New York, Storm Ida, and what we need to do in Washington, D.C., working with our state to help our businessmen and women to recover. You know, we discussed international affairs and the relationship between the U.S. and Turkey, our concerns about individuals who will be coming to the U.S., who have already come to the U.S. from Afghanistan, and the concerns we have for those who have been left behind but are seeking to come to the U.S. We've discussed a number of issues here today and the commonalities that people in this congressional district have, many of whom are first and second generation Americans. As many of you may be aware, first of all, I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, and I represent the 9th District of New York. But I'm here in Sheepshead Bay with my mother this evening, who has joined me, and I'm blessed to have her still in my life. My mother was the first foreign-born woman to be elected in the New York City Council here in New York. My mother was born in the beautiful island nation of Jamaica.
Yes.
And together we are the first mother-daughter ever to succeed each other in politics in the New York City Council, representing the community. And I share that with you because my passion comes from my service to the people who were so supportive and who helped to raise and shape the person that I am. And these are individuals who immigrated from around the world. And our communities are bound together by a shared experience of navigating and becoming American. And each generation does their part in terms of their talent, their skill, and the expertise of building community, and by extension, building the United States of America. And the Turkish community is no exception to that. And I see that each and every day. I see that through the compassion, the support, the philanthropy that the Turkish American business community has given to so many different institutions during the pandemic, during this time of a need for support. The Turkish community didn't bat an eye. As a matter of fact, they were reaching out to us to ask what we needed, and they came with boxes and boxes and boxes of goods to help people and families that and medical workers that would not have had those supplies otherwise. Turkish Americans are contributing in a mighty way to help people who are not in a position to help themselves. This has been my experience with the Turkish American community of people that I represent and that I proudly boast about in Washington, D.C. And I boast because I know of the goodness of all that the Turkish American community has done to give to others, not looking for anything in return, but just goodwill. And so I'm grateful for the bond that we have built, and that gives me the fire when I go back to Washington to fight to make sure that every human being from Turkey and around the world is given the human dignity and respect that they deserve as part of the American dream we are living together. So thank you all very much.
You know, you are the vice chair on the energy and the commerce, and Turkey and the United States, there's a great trade volume. What can you suggest or comment on to increase the trade volume between Turkey and United States for energy and
Yeah, I think what's important for us to recognize is that climate change is here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we recognize in the U.S. is the need for us to revolutionize our energy industry. And I think that anyone who is looking at the dynamics that are happening globally right now should be on the ground floor with the U.S. as we make that transition and become global partners in renewable energy sources. Because at the end of the day, it's the carbon dioxide that we are putting out into the atmosphere that has created a situation that is untenable, unsustainable. And so in that space, which is energy, I would say that there's a lot of partnership that we can do, should be doing with one another for one another's mutual survival. So that's where we are very focused. That's where the U.S. is going to be making major investments. That is part of the discussion we're having in Washington right now. You hear about the infrastructure bill and the work that we are doing around climate change. That's where our major investments are going to take place.
Yeah, definitely. Currently, just as early as 2 days ago, we got hit with the climate changes, the flood. I know so many people personally in the district, their basement flooded 3-4 feet.
Yes.
Forest fire.
Yeah, definitely your contributions in the committee to create more renewable energy resources will contribute to a better climate. That way we don't get the impact in the district. That's really great.
Absolutely, and I think that it's a global dynamic, because we all have to make that leap of faith together. For a very long time, we thought we could continue business as usual, but as you can see, and the scientists have verified, what we experienced in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut is unprecedented. To have the type of rainfall that we experienced in 1 hour that shut down our subway system, we lost more people in a tropical storm in New York than they did in a level 4 hurricane in New Orleans.
Yeah, our infrastructure
in Louisiana. Our infrastructure is very old in New York City. Theirs is very weak in Louisiana, but we were hit so unexpectedly, and beyond that, we weren't prepared. And so we have to prepare ourselves for what we know is a reality in our lives. Climate change is here. These type of rainstorms are deadly for us now. And we have to do something about it. We have to make the investment. We have to become more resilient. And we have to make sure that when we provide support to people, we look at every opportunity for them to engineer things in a way in which it can withstand these storms that will certainly be coming in the years to come.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for the great work in the committee. You know, it's really not easy, and we see your hard work, and we are here to support you. My last question perhaps will attach to his discussion is Turkey has the second largest military in NATO, and Turkey also supported, along with the United States, with our troops shoulder to shoulder in the Korean War. We recently had the event for that as well, to remember the Korean War with our troops. And also our former president Barack Obama many times mentioned the good things and the new legislations Turkey passed to increase the democracy, to make the country more democratic, more open, more transparent. And a lot of legislations passed in Turkey for that. And Obama praised a lot and mentioned in many platforms. But we had a last coup attempted by a cleric who's living in Pennsylvania, and his follower sometimes comes to the house to reach the elected officials to bitch about, you know, pretty much there is no democracy in Turkey. You know, there are a lot of problems. The country is going back and becoming more undemocratic, even though they were the one attempted the coup, which is really, you know, ironic and hypocrisy pretty much with their narrative in the United States. Knowing all these things and also his mentions, like, what do you suggest, or what do you comment on?
Yeah, I think it's important, particularly for Turkish Americans, to be in conversation with their members of Congress, to be in conversation with our State Department. You know, our government has to be responsive to Turkish Americans, to Jamaican Americans. We are Americans first, right? Yeah. And so, you know, when we don't engage, people are left to the impressions left by others.
That's
right. So I think it's important, and certainly as your representative, I would create that opportunity for there to be that dialogue, which I think is very important. Yeah. It's very important.
The civic engagement, and instead of others telling our stories, and we should step forward and tell our stories pretty much. And we really appreciate for engaging with your constituents.
Absolutely.
That was all, and we love you. And 85,000 Turkish Americans in Brooklyn, they all love you, and most of them are represented here by their leaders. We support you, and thank you, Mama, and thank you, Rose.
Barack.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.